I think it's time to do the fated video. Bleach Rebirth of Souls versus Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I made a short a couple months back talking about don't compare these games, and the reason why I made that is because people are comparing these games without both of them being out. Comparisons for the sake of hating on the games. And that's why it's hard to have a good discussion on anime games nowadays, especially on social media outside of YouTube. People take them as personal attacks, like we're calling the IP trash, instead of we just focusing on the product being trash. And that's where I lose my mind. For example, if I said Jump Force is trash, I'm not attacking Naruto, One Piece, or Dragon Ball. If I said the first My Heroes One's Justice is trash, that doesn't mean I hate My Hero Academia or attacking it. I'm gonna be honest, that is my favorite shonen right now. So no, this is not an attack on the anime. We're talking about the products themselves, bro. Not the anime, the manga it comes from. So for anime game versus, I believe I did one of these a month back with the Hidden Ones versus Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. But this time I'm categorizing them differently. We're going by story, gameplay, content, and online. I believe those are the four most important things to make sure if an anime game is going to come out good or not. Some better than others because some games are not online or multiplayer. They might be turn-based RPGs like One Piece Odyssey or action RPGs like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. So let's get into it. Let's go. First one is the story. Now, anime games usually are plagued with anime game retellings of stories on both ends of the spectrum, or something completely fresh and original, slated by the mangaka, or written just to be different. For the first point, I'm gonna just speed run this. Personally, I 100% prefer Bleach Rebirth of Souls story mode. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has a little quirk though with the What If saga, but then Bleach has it as well with the secret story, and some of them are pretty crazy. I think in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, it is one of the weakest story modes I've seen in an anime game in a long ass time. Number one, it doesn't even retell all of the events of Dragon Ball Z really well, and it even jumps around and skips out in some areas as well. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even touched the story mode past probably like the first mission. I was like, I'm cool. I've been playing Dragon Ball games since 2001, my nigga. Just sold my age there. I'm cool. Bleach Rebirth of Souls, even though it's not animated as crazy as a CC2 game or even some of the best and worst of other games, what Bleach Rebirth of Souls does, it does a very strong adaptation of Bleach, the anime and or the manga. I'm not saying it's one-to-one, of course, but they fleshed out this story mode 10 to 20 to 30 plus hours to complete it. I honestly will say, if I want you to get into Bleach, I will point you in that direction of the game, especially if you like fighting games or you want something to play to keep you engaged. It will never replace the anime or manga. That's never the case really with 99% of media out there. But I do think Bleach does it in a way to where it's very tasteful and it gives you something to go through worthwhile. In Dragon Ball's case, there's been better Dragon Ball games in the past decade with better stories in them. I will argue both Xenoverse games are at least fun to even play through. And if I will tell you, if you really want a story experience for Dragon Ball at this point with all of its updates, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is top notch in the anime game department. So yeah, I could go on and while like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero did the story way worse than generally it should have done. But this is for first point for Bleach. Number two, it's the content. With anime games, a lot of arena fighters either lacking content or make the general casual player base feel like, damn, I spent $60 and ain't nothing to play in these hoes. Both games have a fresh air and plethora of content, but this time I'm gonna come out and say it, I'm 100% going to give it to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has something that Bleach Rebirth of Souls still hasn't gave to people to even unlock without having to play the game already. I think Bleach's biggest fault is making all of the alt colors and costumes that they add in the game base. Even the shop in Bleach is used for like online banners and customization and stuff like that, which it's hard for them to go halfway on that. Sparking Zero, even though it does have little content, it edges out over Bleach simply because it does have customization pieces that you can unlock while playing the game. Now they need to add more. I'm not saying it's good. add hella more than what they gave us, but you have way more stuff you will unlock and use in Sparking Zero than Bleach right now. Even in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, one thing that it has over Bleach is that it does have custom battles. Custom battles is very limited in its design. I don't really care about them because they don't let you go as crazy as they want you, but it's probably some regulations, some rules, because people gonna get freak nasty. If you play Smash Online created shit, you know how bad it got. It got real bad. But having that alone adds some type of replayability for like at least 10 to 20 minutes, maybe an hour a day. Bleach, once you beat the story mode and secret battles, which that's a lot of hours to consume of this game, you ain't really got nothing to do outside of just playing online. Dragon Ball's fault is that they did make the Dragon Ball collecting feel good. I didn't feel like I needed to get the Dragon Balls, which is fine because I like that I have another way of getting it outside of just general gameplay. You know, like if I could get them from like just grinding and playing it out, that's completely fine to me. I don't agree with Sparking Twitter and community on it otherwise. I think making it both worthwhile on both ends is what matters at the end of the day. Giving players a different way, multiple ways to play their game is peak. Sparking Zero at this point, which I shouldn't do this, but even right now today, you do have like boss rush fights or something like that, or stronger enemies that you could fight offline. There's way more content in Sparking than there is Bleach. That is no cap about that. Next, let's talk about the gameplay. A lot of people are going to disagree with me. I will never play Sparking Zero again as long as we get more Bleach Rebirth of Souls like games. What Bleach Rebirth of Souls does for me that Sparking doesn't is that Sparking feels very similar and very samey in its gameplay design. After seeing some of the moves the first time in Sparking Zero, it kind of wore off. Maybe I'm just out of that phase and I just generally want more fighting game stuff. But like at least in Bleach, I feel like I got to do more work to play those characters, which means it's more rewarding than it is on average of a Sparking Zero type of character. Even then, in Sparking Zero, a lot of characters have the same combo structure, or they have the same moves, from like rolling smash to rolling hammer. Like a lot of the combos just looks very samey and it can get very dry and boring quick. And I think it's because they have so many damn characters in the game that having that many characters, you can't have that many unique combo abilities and animations as well. Bleach Rebirth of Souls, I really like what they do with the meter in that game with the reverse meter. The reverse meter having different things makes it feel more akin to Arena Fighter Guilty Gear at this point. In Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, when it comes to their moves, it feels like characters have generally a skeleton and then they just add little quips to make them unique from the anime, and then here you go. Here's your $60, $70, $100 game you probably paid for early access. However, I won't disagree with people that be like, yo, Bleach can be boring to look at simply because a lot of the gameplay, you do have a lot of cutscenes and things to watch that you can't skip really. It can feel like that Bleach has more automation in a lot of ways than Sparking even biggest cutscenes. So I can understand if somebody looked at Bleach and be like, this is boring. It's more closer to a fighting game with Bleach than Sparking being party game. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Just for my preferences, Bleach gameplay is better. There's a thing I do not like about Bleach, and a lot of people won't agree with me on the Bleach side here. I understand Bleach has its own unique identity. I get that, I respect it, and I love that. However, two mechanics in the game makes it unbearable. Breaker needs to be reworked, and the only reason it doesn't really need to be reworked is just netcode needs to be better. And I'm not a huge fan of not everybody having the same amount of ways to break somebody, like 3, 4, and 5. Like Soy Phone, this ain't even 1,000-year Blood War Soy Phone. Why the fuck she got 6, bro? 6, really? And she good. You don't even need it. What I generally hate about Sparking Zero is fun to an extent, but when Perception literally made the game so baby that I could not enjoy it at any point in time. They've nerfed Perception, but Perception as a mechanic all entirely is just lame. And that ain't really the case. It's just you could get around it. Also, before I go any further in this video, and I know somebody, maybe a Sparking person, is going to comment on this video and be like, it's a skill issue. So let's Google what a skill issue is. In fighting games, a skill issue refers to a situation where a player's poor performance is primarily attributed to a lack of fundamental skills or knowledge, rather than factors like game mechanics, external circumstances. Examples include consistently missing common attacks, failing to understand spacing or timing, or being able to execute basic combos. A skill issue example is somebody going, hey man, every time I use a move with Goku, my attacks misses. That is indeed a skill issue. If somebody complains about a mechanic and they say they don't like it, it doesn't mean mad because you're bad or you hate it because you don't know how to use it. No, a mechanic can be bad because it doesn't feel good or it is annoying to deal with. I have to clarify that for Dragon Ball fans specifically because they act like they don't understand nuance when it talks about anime games. Also, what really hurt Sparking overall was how they made the game with sweeps. There were loops, almost infinite even. You have to vanish the shit. And if you weren't ready for it, plus the netcode environment, you will get looped for days. Lame ass gameplay. Sparking today is way funner than it was 3-4 months ago. I could go deeper and call it not Tenkaichi because it should have just been its own thing personally. But I digress. We'll keep it going on. This time, I'm just going to give it to Bleach. I think Bleach is just better overall, even though there's things that are too unique for my tasting. I just want a traditional health bar. I want niggas to die when I hit them and not feel like I am either losing or not catching up. It's not a good feeling for me personally. But I got over that in the same way in this game with Bleach. With Dragon Ball, I couldn't. It was too hard when it comes to the annoyances of Dragon Ball versus Sparking. The annoyances of Bleach are minuscule in comparison to Sparking's whole design, even to this day for me. So personally, I'm giving it 100% to Bleach Rebirth the Soul. Now for the it all be all, here's where it's gonna get, y'all gonna believe me. Bleach Rebirth the Soul's online, it's pretty dookie. See, I was on the faith of Bleach Rebirth the Souls giving out the online component to where they actually give us the lobbies and stuff by now, but it's been like almost going on 2 months and we haven't even got ranked or any other modes in Canada. I still think it's fun to play online and I still think it's good. Don't get it twisted. Still a fun ass game. However, the fact that they was patching the game heavily the first 2 weeks and then it's been silent since the release of that, what the fuck is going on? Oh, a big thing that I'm dropping anime games down for now. And if I start calling them trash, this is y'all warning in the future. Arena fighters, regardless of if they feel like it or not or you don't believe in it, they are from the skeleton of fighting games. The big thing about arena fighters and anime fans is getting people together to play these games all entirely. Stop making online anime games without the necessary online features and modes. This is why I be saying I'd rather them just be... We're gonna talk about that in another video in the future. Don't. Bleach Rebirth the Souls does not have an online lobby where I could spectate with friends. That is the most important feature for the growth of the game, for the growth of the communities that y'all spend so much time to make these games out on, and it makes everybody feel like cash grabs because y'all don't have these features. Don't give it to us if you don't have the features. One thing I gotta give huge credit to Sparking, they came out and said, hey, this shit gonna have this day one. And I respect that 100,000%, 10,000%. Multiple ways of playing ranked, DP battles, they have online lobby with friends and spectating, and tournament mode. They have multiple ways to play online with your friends or against the world. Having more ways to play, even if the gameplay can be repetitive or stale, this is where Sparking wins out in because there's so many different ways you can turn that damn game on. For this one, I have to give it to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So the honest answer, it's 2-2 for both. If I had to tell y'all both which game could you get, I will say they're either both good or they're both avoidable. Hear me out. Even though I find Bleach gameplay to be more fun than others, I care about gameplay and if online works. Whereas in Sparking, if you didn't grow up with Tenkaichi or you didn't care about it, I cannot see how you potentially liking the game outside of you just liking Dragon Ball. With Bleach, you might not even know Bleach, but you could probably appreciate some of the system mechanics in the game all entirely, and you might think that's fun enough to keep you on. Yeah, we want it to be a little bit more expansive in some ways with some buttons and some combo combinations, but I do think if you like Guilty Gear, you're probably gonna like Bleach more so than not. I even have a Guilty Gear streamer and commentator play me in the game as well, so don't forget. At the end of the day, we need to stop coming at each other's throats over these games and thinking one side is shilling the others and the other side is hating on it. We just critiquing it for what it is, man. It ain't got nothing to do with Bleach or Dragon Ball, One Piece or Naruto, My Hero, JJK. See, the sirens came on because they don't want me to spit to y'all. And they know they don't want me to spit to y'all. That's why they came on. They don't want me to tell y'all the truth about anime. If you guys want to join a community where these games will never die, please join the anime game community discourse, where there'll be so many people asking for games every day and playing in tournaments when everybody sponsors, including myself, from Biscuit to Globku and everyone else. We're trying to get the server active. Fuck the Steam chart. Stop looking at those. Just play the game. Play something you think is cool, man. Don't care about the numbers of people playing it. You can find people to play it if you really want to play it. Just don't fight that. You know that's true. But that being said, it's your Avataryaya. You guys are golden, and that is wrong. Squalla, peace, and I'm out.
Let's see who's stronger.